I wanted to talk about this as well, guys. Entai says rating numbers down in Wrath and Sod. The latest rating numbers are out, and it shows a slight dip in 2 of the 3 versions of Classic WoW for various reasons. Kinda Classic launch is right around the corner, which could explain the dip in Wrath rating, but something a little more peculiar is the dip in Sod rating, which saw its first decline in Phase 3. The below data is gathered from Ironforge Pro and covers the 24th of April to the 30th of April, so like last week. Sod 175k, Wrath Classic 99, and Era 17. A lot of people are talking about the narrative of it's because the raid size moved up to 20, and it's a lot harder to get 20 people together to do a multiple hour raid. Well, if you're really fast, you can still do it in under an hour, but like for a lot of groups, it's still like at least what, 2 hours or something. Than it is to just do like a quickie 10-man 30-minute BFD. Like it's just a different time commitment. This person said Sod devs made a lot of bad decisions, and I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I think if you can, like, I'll say this at the very least, if you compare the Sod devs to the retail devs or some of the other devs, they've really done a good job of keeping the pulse check with the community, like just staying really in touch with the community. Right? They really have. Have they made every right decision? No. But I think they've done a good job of listening, testing, trying, and like listening. They like I think saying that the Sod devs have ignored the community is just like blasphemy. That's crazy, in my opinion. At least. Anyway, a lot of people are seem to be thinking it's because the raid size. Sod is fun, but Pugs still struggle with Arachnus. The amount of individuals claiming Sod raid is hard is hilarious. Well, hard is relative, so that's hilarious. Supatee says, I think what's interesting is that it's obvious players don't want to or don't have the time to organize large groups. This is a good example of increasing raid size from 10 to 20. I think, from my perspective, it is harder to get 20 people together than 10. It is significantly more annoying. And I'm a streamer, by the way. I can just say like, hey guys, whisper me, let's go run the raid. And it still takes like half an hour of getting people together or something. Like it's still, or sometimes a bit longer. Like it's still a big time commitment. And not only that, then you have like world buffs to get, like it's a lot. The people that like Classic are going to be like, well, that's kind of what Classic is and whatever. Do I think Sod would have higher participation if there was a 10-man raid instead of a 20? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I think this is more multifactorial than people would make it out to. I think it's like really easy to like knee-jerk and like scapegoat, point a finger. It was that, man. They should have been a 10-man raid. See, I told you so. And it's like, well, maybe that would help a little bit. Maybe the participation would be a few percent higher. Sure, fine. I'll give you that. But I feel like there's just more to it than just that. Right? I feel like it's just more to it than just that. And my personal belief, and I've made a video on this, is that when Sod came out, it reels in a bunch of boomers, a bunch of classic Andes that haven't played since 2019 Classic launch, maybe 2020. You know, it's been a couple years. They've been itching for a reason to play Classic. They hop in and it's fun and they're like, wow, this is great. And then P2 comes out and it's like, okay, now it's a bit more of a time commitment and I have to level more characters and like there's even more. And then Phase 3 was just kind of like nail in the coffin. It's like, okay, even more leveling, more chores, more world buffs. Like I need to get back to real life now. I'm gonna quit. So for me, it's more of like this inevitability of like a lot of people wanted to play. It's been out like 5 months or 4 months now. And the people that wanted to test it out have. And it's not that it was necessarily like bad or a failure, because it wasn't by any stretch of my imagination, right? But it's that they need to return to real life because they put it on pause to try a Season of Discovery because they haven't played in 5 years, 4 years. Since 2019 Classic relaunch, and they're like, okay, cool, I got my hint of nostalgia, I got my excitement, so that's why you see a decline. So I think the decline is very natural and understandable. Now, that doesn't mean that the devs have made all the right decisions, and it doesn't mean they couldn't do better, but I think they've been doing like okay, and I think they can always readjust. So I think that's more of it. It's like more of a macro lens, so to speak, than a little micro, oh, let's blame one specific decision for absolutely everything, right? Just like thinking about it a bit deeper. What do you guys think, chat? Why do you think this is the case? Do you guys agree with me that, of course, there was going to be a decline and it's multifactorial, or do you think it's really because of the 20-man rating, or do you think it's something else? Zara's spot on. Anyone hoping for 14 million people playing for an entire X-Pack is blinded by rose-tinted goggles. That's what I think, yeah. I agree. Multifactorial, level, banding, whack. It's a confluence of factors. There's a decline after every launch. It's the pressure through the logs. So logging isn't the dev's fault. That's more of a player-driven thing, right? So that's our fault. But I kind of agree. People are like, well, logs are toxic. And it's like, well, everyone asks for them because they don't want to like waste their time, because they want to be with better players, because they want to clear the raid quicker, because they want to log off sooner, you know, whatever. So it's like, that's more of like a player-driven thing. Terrible upgrades for a lot of work. That's fair. That's fair. The upgrades aren't that big. So maybe the upgrades from BFD were too strong. The upgrades from Nomer were too strong. They didn't want it to get it out of hand, so they dialed back this phase. So the upgrades, you get like 1 more intellect or 2 more stamina. It's like, who cares? Yeah. Do you think a decrease in sub price will help maintain the population longer? Like the monthly sub fee? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if that's like necessarily the conversation. The reason I don't think that's the conversation is because inflation has been a thing and Blizzard hasn't increased its prices in 20 years. So I think the conversation would more be, is Blizzard going to increase the price of a sub to match inflation? And I hope they don't, because they monetize through other means now, like skins and mounts and gold and, you know, pets and whatever else, right? So hopefully not, but I don't think they're going to just like decrease it out of the blue. I think Plunderstorm should be free to play. Shush. I mean, I'm just saying, yeah. If you can't afford 15 a month, well, I think the demographic that plays World of Warcraft is older. A lot of us have disposable income, and it's like the 15 a month isn't a make or breaker. It's whether the game sucks or not is the deal breaker, right? Is the game fun? Okay, I'll pay the 15. Is the game not fun? Okay, I'll unsubscribe. It's usually, I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone here, but I feel like it's more about if the game is good, people will play, and if the game isn't, people won't. I think if the game is $7 a month, but people think it sucks, then they're not going to play, even though it's half the sub price. Am I off here? I mean, I don't know. I feel like the $15 a month thing isn't like a massive problem with the game. Catapult players away from SOD? Yeah, that's a massive one. I mean, hey, look, me, myself, I'm logged into Kata right now instead of SOD. If Kata wasn't coming out, I'd probably still be playing SOD. So Kata coming out in literally 2 weeks or less is a big deal, right? Do you think the problem is there's too many versions of WoW to play right now? Kind of. What's hard is, like, people have grown to want different things, so you have multiple versions of WoW so that everyone can be happy, but it's like, well, how many fragments of WoW should you have? Because there's some people that would want, like, hardcore Season of Discovery or hardcore Wrath, and then, like, that would be, like, multiple more servers. Then it's, like, how many subsections? Like, some people want, like, Season of Discovery TBC or Season of Discovery Wrath. Some people want, like, a brand new Classic Era. It's, like, so players want a lot of different things, and if you make everyone happy, you make no one happy, and that's for damn sure, right? You satisfy too many people, then all of a sudden everyone's pissed. So it's like, okay, you have to say no to certain people and say yes to others, right? And that's what you see in any, like, proper business. The example I've usually used is, like, you walk into Lululemon, who sells, like, athletic wear, and you go in asking to buy, like, a suit. It's not like Lululemon's job, per se, to make you happy and be like, yeah, we'll sell you a suit, let us make you one. It's like, it's Lululemon's job to usually say, no, we do a very good job at making athletic wear. If you want a suit, go to Men's Warehouse or whatever, right? Like, you're just at the wrong store. So I think it's important for Blizzard to, but it's hard to say no to a customer willing to pay money, but it's good to at the same time, because you come up with specialization, you get a better product, you satisfy the people that actually want your thing, right? So it's like, it's hard to say no, but I think it's good. Anyway, the point being, maybe, yes, maybe WoW would benefit from having Classic and Retail, 2 versions, period. But then that means you have to burn some stuff, and, like, that's scary, man. It's not an easy choice. I guess that's what I'm getting to. I wouldn't hate WoW going free to play with a ton of cosmetics. I mean, maybe. I generally, I think free-to-play plus skins is a great model. I don't know if it lends itself as well to a live support game, a live support MMO, but I think it's a great model in general. A lot of the top grossing games in the world are sub with free-to-play with skins, and I think as a consumer it's nice because you get critical mass sooner, you can have more players in the game, and then if you want to optionally spend a ton of money, then you can. Kind of have a feeling Kata/Mop will make WoW great again. I disagree, and it sucks to disagree with that because I think Kato and Mop are probably some of the most fun I've had ever playing WoW. But the reason I disagree is I don't think any classic expansion is gonna like overtake retail without doing something completely new. Like Season of Discovery is basically like complete, like Classic Plus could, I think, Classic Plus has the potential to do something incredible. I think Kata, as good as it is, and like, hey man, I'm stoked. I just transferred to Alliance. I can't wait to play RBGs. Like, I can't wait to get my ass kicked in Dragon Soul again. Like, it's gonna be great. But I don't think any classic version of WoW will like overtake or become the new thing. It's like we've already played it. Like, people will play, people will quit, people will have some nostalgia, people will enjoy it. There will be a niche community that plays the whole time. But I don't think it'll just like overtake retailers or overtake, like, be the next thing. I just don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think Classic Plus could, because it's novelty, it's new. I don't think if Wrath didn't and TBC didn't and Classic didn't, retail's the least grindy WoW's ever been. I think the conversation should be more of this, and I say this all the time. Hey, I'll use my Lululemon example again. And this might make some people upset, but like, if you're a consumer and you walk into Lululemon trying to buy a suit and they don't have one, it's not your job as the consumer to start complaining, saying, you don't have this, you should have this. Your job is to go next door to Men's Warehouse. And if you're someone who likes classic MMOs and you go play retail and you're like, you need this, you need that, it's like, dude, retail's doing just fine, right? People like it. The sub numbers are doing okay. Like the AWC numbers are doing okay. Like the game's doing okay. You, as a consumer, need to go elsewhere because like what you want isn't what they're trying to do for retail, and it's not the vision for retail. Sorry if that triggers you, but that's probably pretty darn close to the truth.